All right, today we're going to look at the song Blue Moon. This arrangement is by Tommy Emmanuel, and I tried to learn it as best as possible. He never plays it the same way twice, but that's okay. So we're going to take a look at all of the techniques involved in this. He does a couple things. Obviously, he has a bass line going the whole time in some form or another. Another thing that he does is he adds like a drum beat with his thumb pick, and all you do to make that happen is as you play a note, you slap the thumb pick through it and your palm hits the body of the guitar at the same time, so it gets kind of a thump. You just have to kind of practice that. So pick a string like the A string and try and make that sound happen. He puts that on the 2 and the 4, so it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those are two techniques that he uses. The other thing he does to create more rhythm is he uses ghost notes in between notes. So that's where you play a string, but it's muted, like that. That would be my index on the G string. Okay, so here's without it. Okay, here's with it. You hear those little in-between ghost notes to create the boom, da-dum, da-dum, the offbeat. It's all in the tabs. The little X note is where those little muted notes are, and it tells you what string they're on, so you know what finger you have free to do that with. So let's get into the song. So it starts out with our pinky on the 2nd fret of the high E string. Okay, we pluck that and slide it up a half step to the 3rd fret, and then pluck it again. And then put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string and hit that note, but make sure it's palm muted. So set your palm on the low 3 strings right there, right on the bridge, to get that kind of muted bass sound. So we have this. Okay, you just practice that. Okay, and then the next note is a G. We hit the open G string with our index finger. So we have, okay, then the 2nd fret on the A string with our middle finger. Okay, and then put your index finger on the 1st fret of the B string, keep your pinky where it is, and hit those 2 notes together. And then the open A string after that. So all of that sounds like this, super slow. Okay, one more time, super slow. Okay, also the tip there is the G, that's gonna ring. Don't worry about that. When you play these two together, the 1 and the 3, the 1st fret on the B string and the pinky on the E string there, take them off right after you play them, so it creates like a stop. You don't want those to keep ringing, so it sounds like it's a real quick punch, you know. Okay, so here we are up to this point. Okay, then there's that little X on the tab. What that is we play a muted G string with our index finger. We don't have any other notes ringing, so you could literally just, you know, cover up all the strings and hit that. Okay, so we have. Okay, then put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string and hit that bass note. And then we have another ghost note, or this backbeat here. So you pluck the G string again, muted. Okay, so it sounds like this. Okay, just another backbeat. Okay, that's our first measure, if you don't count the pickup measure. Now the next note we play is with our thumb, or you could reach over and play it like a bar chord. But it's the 1st fret on the low E string. I'm going to play it with my thumb today. So we hit that note, And then put your index up here on the top E string, 1st fret, play that, and then put your pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E string, lift this off and play open E and the 3rd fret at the same time, okay? Then slide up to the 5th fret with your pinky, okay? And then put your index on the 3rd fret E string and your ring finger on the 5th fret A string. Play those together. Then pluck this one again. Then move your ring finger down to the 4th fret. Play that. And then move your index way down to the 1st fret and play that. Okay, all of that in order, super slow. Sounds like this. Does that make sense? Take it as slow as you need to. It's just about putting the pieces in the right place. It's not going to feel like you're playing music. It's not going to feel like a fluid bass line when you're playing it super slow. Just trying to play them at the right times. That's what's important, because then you can speed it up and it'll feel like music. Okay? Next measure. Put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, pinky on the 3rd fret of the E string. And this is just like the first measure. Okay? And then we have this next little part. I use my thumb over the top again for the F note there, which is the 1st fret of the low E string, but you can do this if you like. Okay? So you play that note first, and then with your middle and your index, your index and your middle finger in that order on the G and the B string, put your fingers on the 2nd fret of the G string and your pinky on the 3rd fret of the D. Also have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the D string. Okay, so you play the F first, and then slide your thumb up or your first finger to the 2nd fret of the low E string and play that alongside the open E. So we have, okay. Then put your index on the 1st fret of the E string, hit that, and then move your ring finger up to the 3rd fret of the low E string and play those two together. So the high E and the low E there. And then pluck the open E again by itself, move your ring finger up one more half step so it's on the 4th fret. Okay. Then put your middle finger on the 4th fret of the G string and your index on the 3rd fret of the G string. Okay, and you're gonna hit this bass note first, okay, on the 4th fret, and then play that. So it goes in that order. Okay, that measure sounds like this, super slowed down. Okay, even slower. Okay, take it as slow as you need to. And then we go down to this A minor form. Now, there's a couple ways you can play the A minor. You could play it like a normal A minor, or if you like to fret both middle strings with your middle finger there, like that. It's a little tricky. My fingers are barely big enough to do that, but it's a pretty nice way to do it, because when you hammer it on, it's just easier and you have one more finger to work with. That's the way I'm going to play it, but both ways are completely fine. So we play the A string and the E string open together, and then play the D and the G open, and then hammer that on. Okay, and as you hammer it on, play the A string, so it's going to sound like this. Slower. Okay, and then hit the B string with your middle finger. So, and then put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, hit that twice, and then the G string and the B string, which is going to be the 2nd fret and the 1st fret. So we have, Okay, and then next measure, put your thumb here, or you could use, you could switch around and do that. That's the 2nd fret of the low E string. Hit that note, then hit the 1st fret on the B string and hammer it on to the 3rd fret of the B string as you hit the bass note again. So it sounds like this. One more time. And then hit the open E. Okay, then we form this shape right here, which is our thumb is on the 1st fret. You can also form it like this. 1st fret E string, our index is on the 1st fret D string, our ring finger's on the 2nd fret of the G string, and our middle finger's on the 1st fret of the B string. Okay, it's an F7 chord. Okay, and this is what we play. We play it all together. So that's the E, D, G, B. So we go. Then hit the 3 inner strings again. Then hit the bass note. And then the inner strings again. And then a quick bass note again. That sped up sounds like this. Do, 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 do. Okay. In time, it sounds like a little a swing sort of thing. So it would be like a okay. So just once again, take it super slow, play it slowly until you get the feel for it. And then the next measure, we play our ring finger. It's kind of like a C6 chord. Ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, middle finger 2nd fret of the G, index 1st fret of the B. Okay. Then 2nd fret on the A string, and you're gonna have to slide down your ring finger because you got to keep these 2 here. And then those are the 2 you play next. So it goes like this. And then open A, and then a muted G string, and then 3rd fret on the E. Okay, so that sounds like this. Slower. And then we play 2nd finger on the G string, 1st finger on the B, and the open A. Okay, then walk the bass up, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, and then 3 1st fret of the B string notes. Okay, and it's a swing feel. This whole song is a swing feel, so that's why we're not playing. We're not going 1, 2, 3. We're going da 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 da. Okay, it's a swing feel. That'll make sense just as you listen to the song. Okay, now we're into the bridge. Those are technically the first 3 notes of the bridge. It's like a pickup measure. Okay. Okay, so we put our thumb over the top, or we could play it like that. The 1st fret of the low E string, and our index finger on the 1st fret of the G string, and our pinky on the 3rd fret of the B string. We play those together, and then play the G and the B again. Okay, then slide these 2 up. What I would do is put your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and just move your thumb up. And then do the same thing. Hit them together, and then hit those 2 again. Okay, and then go up 1 more half step with your thumb and your middle finger on the G string, and hit the E, G, and the E together. Okay, and then slide your middle finger up 1 more half step, and then play that and the E string together. So that's okay. So together this sounds like this. Okay, then hit the G string and the 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and that's like on the and of 4 for the next measure. Okay, and then we're going to put our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. So those 2 measures kind of combined sound like. Okay, one more time, real slow. Okay, then our next note is we take the bass down a half step, the second finger on the A string, and then the open A, and then put your second finger on the G string, keep your index where it is, play those two, then put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, and then play those two again real quick, and the bass really quick again. So that sounds like this. Okay, one more time. Then we go back to this same shape as before, with our thumb on the 1st fret of the E string and our index on the 1st fret of the G and our pinky on the 3rd fret of the D. Hit those together, and then hit that one, that pair again. So it's okay. Then slide up a half step, put your middle finger on the 2nd fret, and your thumb is on the 2nd fret. And then in this case, we're going to play that one first, the bass note, then those two notes, then the bass note again. So it's a quick. Okay, so it's okay. And then this shape again, we have the thumb on the 3rd fret and our index, or I'm sorry, our middle on the 3rd fret of the D string, and hit those three, the low E, the G, and the high E. And then slide up a half step with your middle finger and hit the G string and the E string together. And then the bass one more time. And then those two notes, the open G and the 1st finger on the B, which is a note that carries on to the next measure. And then let me play that measure really slowly. One more time, even slower. Okay. Then after that anticipated note, we play the 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the A string, and then form an A minor 7th chord, and just strum it with all your fingers, or strum it like that. I like to give it that sort of sound. Okay, then you put your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string. Then we're going to form this chord, which is an F minor chord. I use the thumb again. You could do it just as easily this way. So it's a slightly anticipated note. It's before the next measure. So we're going to play them together. We play the low string and then the G, B, and E, like that. Okay, so we play those, and then hit the bass note again, and then those two twice, and then these three one more time. So we have this so far, that's halfway through the measure. It's okay, one more time. Okay. Then we switch to this B7 form, B flat 7 form, I should say. We bar down the 1st fret from the A string all the way down, and put our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the D string, and our pinky is going to be hammering on the 3rd fret of the B string. We play the A and the G and the B together, and then hammer on the pinky, and then play the high E string, and then do that again. So it's twice, so it sounds like. Let me play these two measures, or just this one measure for you real slow. Okay, that's going to take a little getting used to just to get the feel of that. Let me play that measure again really slow. One more time. Okay, it's kind of a weird feel. Just take it real slow, and when you speed it up, it sounds right. You know. And then we slide up to this chord. Okay, so it's like it's a sort of an E flat major chord. We slide into the 6th fret on the A string with our pinky, and then our index finger bars the 3rd fret, okay, all the way to the A string. So and then play the D and the G together, Then walk this bass down. So 5th fret with your ring finger, then 3rd fret that's already being barred. And then play these two again, the D and the G. And then your pinky on the low string, 6th fret. Hit that, and then the D and the G again, and then that note again. That sounds like. Okay, one more time slower. Then we go to this open G shape. It's just the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. Okay, hit those together with the D, G, and B. Then hit the bass again, then those 3 again. Okay, then switch to this D over F sharp form. You could use your thumb or do it like that. And then you hit the bass note first, then those 3 strings again, and then the bass note again, those again. Okay, so that sounds like this. Okay, then we go into this run, which sounds like this. Okay, it sounds a lot harder than it is. It's kind of like a roll technique, maybe like a banjo roll technique, or just the way we play it on open strings kind of acts like that. So we start on the 1st fret of the high E string and slide up. Okay, then put your pinky on the 6th fret of the B string. Okay, pluck that with your thumb. Then play the E string with your middle finger. Okay, so we have. Okay, then put your index on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then play that, and also have your pinky on the 5th fret of the G string to be ready for the next note. Play the B string with your index, G string with your thumb, lift off the index so you have open B, and then move these 2 fingers down a string set so you have your index on the 3rd fret of the G string and your pinky on the 6th fret of the D. And play the open B string, then the 1st finger on the G string, and then the thumb on the 6th fret. So it's. Okay, slower. Okay, then your middle finger is going to play the open G, and then slide or put these down in another string set, same exact form, the index on the 3rd fret of the D, pinky on the 6th fret of the A. Index plucks the D, and then the thumb hits the A, lift off your index, hit the D with the middle finger, and then hit the C note there, which is the 3rd fret on the A string. Let me play it really slowly, and so you can see the right hand as well. Okay, so the right hand is really doing the same motion the whole time. It's like 2, 1, thumb, 2, 1, thumb, 2, 1, thumb, which is why it's like a roll. But you're switching string sets as you go down. It's, if that makes any sense, with the. Okay. The only thing you want to make sure that you're doing is making sure the notes ring into each other. You don't want to be muting them like. If that makes any sense. You want to make sure your hands got a lot of space in between strings. Okay, and you can change this up. Practice putting different notes in there. You could do, that was, you know, right? That was with those notes right there. So you can put anything in there that you want. Okay. Then we're back to the top basically. It changes just a little bit here in the first measure. So we have hit that bass note, then put your pinky on the top string, high string, 3rd fret. Okay, play that in that order. bass note, then the second fret on the A string, hit that bass note, and then form an A minor 7th with your pinky still here. So we have our middle on the D string 2nd fret, index on the 1st fret of the B string, and then strum that, just like that, and then mute it afterward. So it sounds like this. Okay, then the next 2 bass notes are the 3rd fret on the low E string, 1st fret on the low E string. Okay, so one more time slowly. Okay, then we're back into the verse the exact same way. Okay, here's the Indian measure, okay? We play, the thumb plays the 3rd fret of the low A string, and our middle finger plays the 2nd fret of the G string, and our index on the 1st fret of the B string. Play those 3 and then mute it real quick. Then we switch up here, okay? And this is the first chord we play. Our index hits the A string 5th fret, then we have our ring finger on the 7th fret of the G string, our middle finger on the 6th fret of the B string, and our pinky on the 8th fret of the high E string. And play those together, so A, G, B, and E. Okay, so it's, okay, then slide everything up a half step except for your pinky. So that means the index is on the 6th fret, our ring finger's on the 8th fret now, and our middle finger's on the 7th fret. Play those together and then mute it. So we have this. And then we form like a little C6-9 without the bass note. So we bar the A, D, and the G string with our index, and then the B and the E with our ring finger. And then pluck those, just the A, G, B, and E. So it sounds like this. And then we slide down to this C6-9. We play that. Okay, that's a little bit tricky if you're not used to it. There's a couple ways you can play it. This middle finger covers both the E and the A string, but you don't have to do that. You could put your thumb over top and make sure it gets pressed down, or you could just leave that out, leave the low E string out. And then the index finger bars the D and the G, and then you could either bar the B and the E, or you could play both of them, like that. Okay, there's a couple flares you can add to this. You could go, so putting a few more ghost notes in there. I'll slow that down. See that? So we're just putting a couple of those little nuances in there. Or on the end, instead of just slamming it, you could play some harp harmonics there for a nice ending. All right, hopefully that helped. Remember to take it slow. It's about, taking it measure by measure, making sure you can play it right with the notes in the right order, like making sure you know, okay, there comes the G string, then the A string, then these, then the A. Just make sure you got them in the right order, and then practice that until you can play it, fairly comfortably, right? And then just piece it together. Give yourself time with the song and have fun with it.